Right, there's plenty of content in cricket.com, and here's one life in pictures. Remember this show that we did with all the guests before? There's another one joining us right now in terms of JP Duminy. We have plenty of pictures to kind of delve deep into. JP, first and foremost, thanks for doing this. How are you?
Very good, sir. You well?
All well, all well. Right, given the fact that India, South Africa are playing this ODI series right now, we thought of doing something fun and deep diving into your career and checking out all the top pictures and getting some stories behind it. The first one is Pink, and Pink ODIs to be specific. Here you are, of course, playing one
Yeah.
of your typical trademark whips through mid wicket, I'm guessing. Talk to me about the Pink ODIs, the significance of it, how much did you enjoy it, what memories, so on and so forth.
It was certainly a memorable time in the cricketing calendar for the Proteas, and it's generally around that February mark where you get to play the Pink ODI, and it certainly was always well supported. And one of the main things why we're doing it is to raise awareness against breast cancer, and that's just something that was really close to a lot of the guys' hearts. But more importantly, it was well supported, as I mentioned, but also bums on seats, and guys really got involved in all the activities that was at the stadium. But that picture in mind, I think that was against India, to be honest. We had a really good ODI game a
It
couple of years
was.
ago against India,
Yep.
which I think I did reasonably well in as well. So have I got that right?
Yep, you have. Absolutely. And you slaughtered India that day in terms of the victory margin as well.
No, great stuff. Yeah, it's fond memories, and it's something that, as I mentioned, everybody really gathers behind and tries to support. So it's something that I believe will be around for years to come.
Yeah, like you mentioned there, wonderful cause as well. Swiftly moving on to picture number two, then. And this is about all the memories against playing against India, of course. Here you are, I think, in an ODI series in India, and you have the man
Mhm.
behind himself, MS Dhoni. Talk to me about the challenges playing against India in India, the memories that you've had, any sort of sledges out there in the middle.
No, it certainly was played in the right spirit. I don't remember any sledges per se. The last ODI series that I recall in India, if I'm not mistaken, 2016, which I think we won 3-2,
Yeah.
was actually a time where I cut my webbing, so I missed the first test, with the test series, but directly after that. But it was a memorable one in terms of white ball cricket, that tour itself. So I really enjoyed it. I didn't necessarily do particularly well myself, but I think I'll take the fact that we won the series. But it was certainly some good viewing.
It was. I mean, you remember that Wankhede game where South Africa, I think, just
Yeah.
really scored 400 or something like that, and ABD comes to mind instantly. Speaking of whom, I want to ask you about the man himself, which is, of course, AB de Villiers. What's the equation that you had with him? Your friends, I'm still guessing. How close are you to Mr. 360 is all the Indian fans want to know.
Yeah, we've come a long way in terms of our playing days. We started as juniors together in the SA under 19 team, and fortunately have had many years playing for the Proteas, which was a true privilege. I think one of the main things that stands out for me is, the times that I've stood at the opposite end and just watched the brilliance of that man, as you mentioned there, Mr. 360, smashing the ball to all parts. He was interestingly quite a nervous character when he came to the crease, and that's something that he thrived on, that allowed him to just express himself. He didn't back down to any challenge. One of the most prolific players that South Africa has ever produced across all formats, and it was certainly a privilege to play alongside him, to share a change room with him, and there's no doubt that he will go down as one of the greats of the game, and he will certainly be missed, particularly in the IPL, I would assume.
Absolutely. I mean, ask me about it. I'm a huge RCB fan, and just De Villiers, that news of him retiring, it was a dagger in my heart. But nonetheless, that was a good picture of you and him. 2012, by the way, that was in New Zealand while you guys were playing a
Yes.
test series. Now, not too far from New Zealand is the city of Perth, which, of course, many people have regarded you as John Perth Duminy, if I may add. talk to me about this picture. Another sumptuous cover drive. I think it's Michael Clarke in the background, just admiring your pose there. And it was a scintillating innings, JP. You were straight into the mix. Were you thrown into the deep end that series? Because it's a long time ago. Sorry to make you feel old.
It certainly was 2008. My goodness.
Yeah.
So it was interesting how I got the call up to actually play the test match that day. I was touring as sort of the 12th, 13th man, and the day before I had a practice session. Ashwell Prince got hit on the finger by Mackay in the nets and broke his thumb, and he went for scans. Obviously there was a crack in his finger, but it was only till an hour before the start of play that I got told that I'm actually playing in the test match, because they tried everything to, put a guard on his finger, to give him an injection, to see whether he can still move it and try and play the test match. But unfortunately, it was quite severe. So I didn't sleep very well that night before, because obviously you're not sure whether you're going to play. It's 50-50. And then, coming into the first innings, batting at number 6 and getting bounced out by Mitchell Johnson. I think he got 8 for 17 that first innings. And then, a record in our chasing 414 on the 5th day to win the test, and to bat alongside the guy that we just spoke about. AB de Villiers got 100, I got 50 not out and had the opportunity to hit the winning runs, which was probably one of the most iconic moments in my career. And as you mentioned, they just will remember it for many years to come.
Absolutely, I can't disagree with you, and then no one can, of course. And speaking of the longest format of the game, because it gives you so much satisfaction as a cricketer, is this the highs in terms of this picture? Look at you here in the lovely cap of South Africa, the green cap, and that test mace,
Yes.
clinching it like you've earned it, and you guys did earn it, because you guys were a fantastic traveling bunch as well. How much was this? How much did this trophy mean to you, JP?
Yeah, I think that champagne in the left hand says it all, doesn't it? Man, what a series that was. Coming down to the last test, and we were 1-up in that series, obviously. And if we had drawn the series, we would not go to number 1. England would stay number 1. But the way that test unfolded, it went all the way to the last hour of the 5th day. And it was kind of like 350 play, 330, 320, and then, in England needing around 330 to win the test match. And it just had so many ebbs and flows. The crowd was amazing at Lord's, sitting at the tip of their seats, just in anticipation of what's going to happen next. And then the great Vernon Philander, steps in and puts in a massive performance for the Proteas, picking up 5 wickets to win the game for the team. One of my most proud moments in my test career, but also just the build up to that test series, all the sort of obstacles we had to face, and guys having to fly home. Graham Smith flew home because of the birth of his child, and there was a lot happening. But the ability to sift through all of those challenges, and to come out on top was truly special.
Right. So you guys have stuck it to the Aussies, you've stuck it to the English. But talk to me about away tours and generally touring away from South Africa. You guys must have had plenty of fun. You had, of course, great teammates as well. Here's a great picture of you and Johan Botha somewhere in the middle of Lahore, chilling in a swimming pool. Now, this gets fascinating because, of course, you've traveled to Pakistan quite a bit. But what was your favorite away ground destination to travel to, a cricket venue that you like playing in?
Yeah. So in terms of challenges, I mean, touring the subcontinent was always tough. Just the overhead conditions, the pitches. But a place that I really had so much fun and enjoyed was Galle in Sri Lanka. And we went to Sri Lanka in 2014 to play a test series, and no South African team had ever gone there and won a test series. And we played our first test in Galle. I ended up batting at 8 because I was down at number 7. We had a night watchman, and I managed to get 100 on a turning track against Herath and Co. But yeah, it was just a special time where you had stuck to a game plan that really worked. You had prepared well. and that was one of the highlights in terms of my Test career from a batting perspective. The ability to change your game according to the conditions and to execute it as well as I did there, certainly stands out as one of my favorite hundreds. There's only 6, but it was certainly one of my favorites.
Okay, super. Just to finish on this, which city brought the most out of you guys off the field in terms of parties and whatnot? Because there's some fantastic venues worldwide.
Yeah, I think from an on-field perspective, Australia comes to mind in terms of the success that we've had 2008, 2012, 2016. Yeah, and whenever you toured Australia, you knew it was going to be a challenge. And then
Yeah.
when you think about off-field activities and all the things that you can do, I think about the West Indies. There's such beautiful beaches there. I love the people. I love their demeanor, their personalities. They love their cricket as well. And when the music's going in the crowd, and even it doesn't matter across which format you're playing, there's always a great vibe about it. I had the great privilege of playing in the CPL as well in 2019 and representing Barbados. And that in itself as well was such a great experience. Getting the love and respect from the people because you're representing them was truly special.
Yeah, you mentioned St. Lucia and you mentioned the CPL there. We'll just get to that in just a bit, but I want to ask you about dancing because you mentioned music there. Here's a picture of you shaking your leg with Makai Antini, Wayne Parnell, and of course, a man that India knows a little bit of, Shah Rukh Khan. Talk to me about this particular moment, and of course, what is that, belly dancing? Should we classify it as that?
I guess we're gonna have to. I don't know how good we were, to be fair, in terms of the belly dancing, but that was also just a great experience. It was in Durban, actually, at the Moses Mabhida Stadium, and it was to commemorate, the synergy between the two countries of South Africa and India, and there was such a great festival feel about it. Durban being one of the greatest population of Indian people outside of India itself, and the support was immense. Not only from an Indian perspective, but just from a South African perspective as well. As I spoke about the festivities, it was a great festival. As you saw, I had an opportunity to dance and show some moves with Shah Rukh Khan. If I'm not mistaken, I think I tried to pull Harbhajan Singh onto the podium as well to show me his moves. But I think I just pooped him at the end.
All right. It leads me nicely to my next question then, because you mentioned Bhaji right now and his bond with you, which has grown over the years in the IPL. Now, we put a couple of pictures out here for you in terms of just rolling back the clock. Now, this was not with MI, it was with the Deccan Chargers. Behind
Yep.
you, just the casual matter of Shane Warne and Rahul Dravid celebrating your wicket. No biggie there, JP. But
Yes.
talk to me about the IPL. Is it the toughest T20? What goes off the field? Because the first couple of years was obviously chaos on the field, but chaos off the field as well.
It certainly was. My goodness. I think one of the standouts about the IPL, and particularly in the early days of it, was this amazing ability to come from different parts of the world and represent a team together. You've obviously battled hard against many international players, and here you have this great opportunity to play alongside some of the greats of the game. I remember my first ever experience representing Mumbai in 2009. I literally arrived in camp the morning of the first game, and I walk onto the bus heading towards the stadium. I had not met the team yet because I had flown in from a series we had played for South Africa. And to my left is Sachin Tendulkar, to my right Zaire Khan, the next seat is Sanath Jayasuriya, then Harbhajan Singh. And I'm like this 24-year-old kid, like in awe of all these players, my heroes watching as I was growing up. So that for me is one of the biggest standouts. Just having a quiet conversation or a drink with Sachin Tendulkar, a glass of wine, and just talking cricket, talking about his life, talking about his career, talking about the ups and downs that he's faced. I think about sitting next to him on the plane, traveling in India, and just picking his brain. one of the most great opportunities. Representing Deccan Chargers, playing under Kumar Sangakkara, and it brings back such fond memories. And it's certainly if not the biggest tournament around the globe now in terms of T20 competitions. And it's something that everybody wants to watch and every player wants to be a part of, because of everything that happens on the field and off the field, of course.
Right, and there were some owners too, the Mumbai Indians, and the way they kind of serenaded you all after every game was quite spectacular from the outset. But let's just finish up on T20 cricket, because remember, JP retired from the game playing T20. He played a lot of franchise cricket throughout the world. Here he is, of course, walking back to the pavilion. Sorry, we couldn't find a better picture of you in the St. Lucia Stadium. But jokes apart, JP, just as a cricketer right now in the modern day game, how much is franchise cricket an option for them? Should they kind of be more wary of getting into it? Because, of course, there's a lot of positives and negatives. How do you view it? And what would be your advice to young cricketers getting into the game now?
I think it's a great add-on for the modern game. No two ways about that. I think the important thing is to understand our priorities when it comes to young cricketers coming through. I think first and foremost, we always want to encourage young players to want to represent their country across all formats. I'd certainly want to encourage as a first to want to play Test cricket. It is such a phenomenal experience. It's the true test of the game, and there's no better feeling than scoring a Test 100 or taking a Test fifer. However, to add to that, we also have to understand that things evolve and the game has evolved. We've seen the likes of the IPL and now many tournaments around the globe, how it has influenced the game in a positive way, for sure. It has brought back people to come and watch the game. It has brought about a different generation of cricket followers, which is important in terms of the longevity of the game. It has brought about an excitement. It's become a bit of a party festival, and there's room and place for everything and everyone. I think just the important parts of it is just to understand what is the main thing. Main thing is international cricket. You want to represent your country. If you do that well, the T20 franchise leagues will see you. They will see your ability, and that is where those opportunities will be presented. So it's making sure that we understand what are the important things, and the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah, those are the words of wisdom from a man who's, of course, a veteran in T20. You talk about you playing for Winnipeg and being the top run scorer there in the T20 Canada competition, or Islamabad in the PSL, or Barbados Tridents where you finished up. You've kind of done it all. Finally, and I wanted to leave this for the end, JP, it's something about you in terms of your cricket career, and many people might think it's gone under the radar. This is a picture of you bowling. Now, you were a fantastic bowler. Many people thought that off spinners are generally garbage, but you, of course, proved many wrong. I think Graham Smith utilized you very well in that early 2012 kind of period, but then you kind of took like a duck to water in terms of bowling. How much did you enjoy bowling? Who's your favorite wicket? Give us all the deets.
I certainly enjoyed it. And one of the main reasons why I did, it always felt like you had an opportunity to influence the game, to impact the game. You can't beat scoring runs, for sure. I think that's a given, particularly for myself. But the ability to contribute to the team with ball in hand, and having had great opportunities to do so in a significant way in my career, particularly with the white ball, I think that's probably where I've played a bigger part in terms of my bowling. In terms of moments that stand out, I think 2015 World Cup probably takes the cake in terms of taking a hat-trick against Sri Lanka in a quarterfinal, a knockout stage in a World Cup. That was a big moment for me. In terms of a player, I'd probably say David Warner. I enjoyed bowling to left-handers. So whenever I bowled at him, it's always something that he's always somebody that I want to get out, and I think I've got him a few times.